All right, ladies and gentlemen, so you just finished reading about the Alien and Sedition Acts. There were two separate groups of laws. The first group was the Alien Acts. This is what made it easier for the president to deport immigrants that they declared dangerous. It also made it take longer for people who moved in, new immigrants, to become citizens and vote, from 5 years to 14. John Adams was a Federalist, and most immigrants tended to vote Democratic Republicans. They couldn't come out and say, hey, we want to just stop people from voting on what was a political move. So they probably used language like you might hear today, a lot of fear-based language. How can we really trust these people? We need to give them more time to make sure that they're safe. If you pay attention to the news, I'm sure you've heard discussions about that as we continue to discuss and debate immigration to this day. So this was a legislation to make it harder to immigrate to the United States. The Sedition Acts were were specifically directed towards American citizens. It declared that people could be arrested or fined for stirring up rebellion against the United States. Now, that could be as much as, or as simple as criticizing the government. So it was used to punish people who were often critical of Federalist policies, like things that John Adams and Alexander Hamilton and those guys would have encouraged. Now, I think you know which amendment that violates. It's hopefully some of you said it, first. First Amendment, our freedom of speech. And you know, and many of you have done this, have criticized government or government officials in your time. But these laws become hugely unpopular, and people are going to start feeling like the government has too much power, that the government is abusing them. And we're going to start to see Americans swing towards a more conservative point of view. Thomas Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans are going to become more popular. So, continuing in our textbook, what I want you to think about is, how do we decide if a law is against the law? When does a law contradict other laws or become unconstitutional, something that we can't do because of the Constitution? It's going to take a while to finalize this process that we still use today. But as the states and the government were trying to figure out exactly who had the final authority, one way is on page 254 under States Challenge the Federal Government. So what I'd like you to do now is, just like we did with the Alien Sedition Acts, take a few moments, read that. This time you can either read on your own or read with the person next to you, and you all can take turns. But as you're reading, I want you to think about, who did Jefferson and other Democratic Republicans think should be able to nullify or cancel a federal law or a law from Washington, D.C.? Once you've got this done, there are some notes for you to copy, and you also need to be at kahoot.it. We're going to have a review Kahoot to prepare you for the quiz tomorrow in just a little bit.